I'm just going to change the route. Anything which is coming through the user route, I need to give it to. So let's see, const user route equals require. Okay, so I'm going to create a new folder inside this function. Right click, new folder, and I'm going to say as routes. Inside this, I'm just going to say new file as auth.js. Oops, spelling mistake. auth.js. All right, and let's keep it as it is. And here dot slash routes slash auth. Okay, what we are going to say here is that means whenever the request comes from app.use, if a request comes through slash API slash users, then navigate that API route to a different route, that is user route. Because in a real-time project you might have a different routes, so everything you can't keep complex in your index.js. That's the reason we are creating a separate route. If anything is coming through this endpoint, that will be rerouted to this auth.js. All right, so then I need to start the application. So exports dot app is equals functions dot https dot on request trigger this app. Okay, whenever a request comes through the function https, then trigger this application. All right, so let's run this Firebase application in a local mode. So run npm serve, npm run serve. If you go to the package.json over here, actual command to trigger this Firebase functions, and this is the command Firebase emulator start only function. So you don't need to run this, you just need to run npm run serve. So that will triggers that. Actually we need to move into functions folder. Now we are inside the functions folder, then npm run serve, enter. So now that Firebase emulator is up and running fine. Okay, it's running in a local host, it's not yet deployed in the it's showing Firebase error. Okay, because it's showing a Firebase error because we don't have inside the auth.js, we don't have any router or anything else. So we need to fix that issue. That's the reason it's showing that issue. So let me go back to the routes, and inside the routes we need to go to the auth.js here, and now I need to create a router. So const router is equals require express dot router. Let's create an object for it. Then I'm just going to say const admin equals require Firebase admin. Save the changes because we need the admin privileges over here. Okay, then what we need to do is so let's create a endpoint. So here this is going to be Google token validation. All right, so here now what I need to do is, so router dot get, if it is the API is coming like this, like slash, if the API is coming like slash API slash users slash login validate something, if it is coming like this, so this will be triggered. Okay, so here the router name is going to be slash login validate. Okay, otherwise you can use Gmail login validate, something like a reasonable name over there. And I'm going to say this is an asynchronous, and async, I'm going to get the request and the response parameter. Okay, don't change the order of the parameter, request and response, and open the function. All right, so I'm just going to say response.send hi. For the time being, I'm just going to say the hi there. To run this much better, you need the Postman application. So I'm just going to open the Postman, because Postman is the best application to check all the backend API endpoints. Right, so let's go here, and right now middleware function, because we haven't exported it. So we need to export this route. So module dot exports equals router. Save the changes. All right, so now there is no mistakes, functions, everything is loaded perfectly, and this is our local host. Copy this link, copy it, and go here, and let me create a new request, paste it, and slash API slash users slash login validate. All right, so login validate. If I click this, so that should send a response back as a hi there. So everything is so far it's working fine. Now what I need to do is all I have to go here, and I need to collect that token, and I need to validate it properly. Okay, so we need to collect that token and we need to validate it properly. To do that, let's see, first we will send the token from there, from front end to our backend. So let me minimize it, and let's run our client app. So yarn start, so that will start our client application. All right, so let's go back here, and not here, let me keep it in the side. So this might quite confusing because we are trying to create both the front end and back end, so try to understand here. All right, so now this is ready, let's keep it as it is, and inside the source folder let's create a new folder called API, and inside the API I'm going to create a new file called index.js. Okay, just a moment. And the API folder, just a minute, give me a minute. API index. Okay, so for this we need to install a package called Axios. So let me create one more terminal and let me add that yarn add Axios. So this is to work with the API endpoints. This package is really necessary. We need this package to work with the API endpoints. So please install this package yarn add Axios. Add it, and it's taking quite a long time to install, and it's going to be done. And there we go. Oh, come on. Oh, okay. Oh god, one more time. Fine, so now the Axios package is successfully installed. So let's import that package. Import Axios from Axios. Then, and so we need to give the base URL. So const base URL. So because later this might be, once the server is deployed, the URL might be different. Currently it's running in a local host, so it doesn't mean that every time it's going to run in a local host. So node function, I'm just going to copy this. Why it's looking like this? Oh, my terminal is not responding. So let me stop it and let's create a new one. CD server, CD function, and npm run serve. So that will run the Firebase function one more time, and it will gives me this localhost URL. Copy it and paste that localhost URL over here. Enter. All right. So then first we are going to create a function to validate the token, which is going to pass the token to our backend. So I'm just going to say export const validate token equals, otherwise we can say validate Google token equals asynchronous method async, open the bracket, and I'm going to pass that token to this function, and I'm going to get the use the try and catch. If anything it's going to happen, I'm just going to say return null. Okay, so now here what we need to do is, I'm just going to say await Axios dot get, and I'm going to open the dynamic string, and I'm going to bring the base URL. After this, I'm going to say API slash users slash, and where is that router, control P, auth.js, login validate, copy it and paste it here. I will pass this to our that API. When I'm passing it, along with that, I'm going to pass the authorization token also. Okay, so we all know that our server is up and running now. So let me open the console, close it, and let me run it one more time. It's opening, and let me open this email account, and now it's trying to log in, and here we go. This is our token. So let me copy this token completely, copy, and here I'm just going to say headers. Inside the headers, I'm going to say authorization. I'm going to use the authorization token, authorization, and I'm going to say bearer, paste that token. Okay, we do have that. So basically we need to secure the token also when we are passing it. So that's the reason we are adding the bearer, the term inside in between it. Okay, bearer, and this will send it to our backend point. So let's go back to our backend point, the auth.js, and that will comes over here. Whenever you're coming back to the server, I need to check that the token is there or not. So if not, request dot headers dot authorization. If there is no authorization token, then I'm just going to say return response dot status 500 dot send. I'm just going to send the message as an object, as an invalid token. Okay, invalid token, something like that. If there is a token, of course it will come. So const token is equals, so we are sending it as a string over here, bearer along with the token. So what I need to do is I need to break that term. So request dot headers dot authorization dot split sorry dot split, open it. Once you find out an empty space, that means there is a space between your bearer and your token. Once you find out that space between it, split it into two and access the first index. So 0th index will be that word bearer, and the second index will be your token. So I'm just accessing that token, and then I'm just trying to send it back. Response dot send token, save changes. And now if you click OK, and here we go. So the term bearer is removed, and it's sending back the token back. So now we do have our token in our backend. Okay, but it's not properly send it through our front end. We just manually send it through the postman. First let's validate it, and let's verify whether everything is working fine or not. Then we'll move on to the, because our API is almost done and we need to send the token. Just we have to send the header authorization token over here. Okay, so before that we will try to validate the token which we already sent it to the postman, and we'll validate it and we'll try to fetch the data back. Okay, so now I'm just going to use the try and catch. Try, if there is any error is happening, I'm just going to say send response.send. Instead of invalid token, I'm just going to say message, let's say dynamic string error colon dollar error. What exact error you got, send that error completely to the front end. Okay, now try, I'm just going to say await equals, use the admin privileges and use the auth class, admin.auth, open the class. I'm just going to say verify the ID token and pass the token into it. Once it's verified, it will send a response back. So I'm just going to say that promise over here, decoded value. That's the our decoded value. Okay, so then what we need to do is, if there is a decoded value, you need to send that value. Otherwise, you are not supposed to send that value. So I'm just going to say, if not decoded value, I'm just going to return the state as 500 one more time, and I'm going to say invalid, unauthorized access, something like that. If there is a decoded value, then else I'm just going to say return response dot status 200 dot JSON. I'm going to send it as a JSON data. Okay, and not JSON, send, because we need to send multiple objects. So I'm just going to say success as true. That's an object, customized object, and I'm going to send the data. The data is going to be the decoded value. Save the changes. If everything is working perfectly as it's supposed to be right now, it will send the user data, it will validate this token, and it will fetch that user logged in user information, and it will send it back. Look at that. Now we do have our data over here. This is the data, the username, the user picture, and authenticated time, and user ID, all the informations, which provider, and the UID, user ID, everything is validated and fetched by using that token. So this is how you need to validate the Firebase token. So now I need to send this to our front end. That means I need to access it. So now I'm sending a request to our backend from here. To send a request along, how we are sending it in the Postman, we send it with the authorization with this bearer token. Let's see how to send it from here. Now what I need to do is, right after here, come on, open it. Okay, so here all I have to do is to say, let me say headers. Okay, I need to send the headers, colon, open an object, and we do have the authorization. Let me copy this name from here. This is the name you need to send. Copy the name, authorization object, and that is the term we need to send it as bearer space. It can be anything, you can use anything. This space is must. So after this, I'm just going to join the token, save the changes. Make sure that you leave an white space over here. The space is must, because that's how we are splitting the token and that word in our front end, and that will it will send a request, and we are sending back the response. So const response, we are getting that response. Okay, and then this is where it's getting finished, this get method over here. So right after here, I'm sending the return response.data object, because we are returning the data from here, and we are getting that data over here. All right, so now let's see back. Let's go to our login. Okay, so where it is, control P, login over here. So this is the place where we are getting the token, and all I need to do is to check the token over here. I need to revalidate the token right this place. Just a minute. Let me open my login, where it is. Come on. Okay, here I need to use that API method, validate Google token, copy it, send the token inside token, and that will return a promise dot. Then you will get that data, and I'm just going to say console.log data, save the changes. Control Shift J. If everything is perfect, click login and click it. That will get and send the token. And what happened? We are sending the token, validate Google login API. From the API we did it, console.data. What exactly happening? It's quite confusing now. Why it's printing the token again? It is not supposed to print the token again. Let me keep only this. Close this. This is not necessary. This is not necessary. This is finished. Close it. Close the home. Close the app.js, index.css. Close everything. Keep only these necessary stuffs. Fine. So control, and then I'll keep this thing in the bottom, so it's nothing. Click. It's printing only the, actually why it's still printing the token over here, line number 19. We are validating that token now, but why it's constantly printing it? Let's restart it, rerun it. And here we go. We got that message back, success, data, and look at that. We got our data. Actually, I just refreshed it and it's working fine. Look at that. So this is what we needed really. Okay, but the problem is it's just like I want to sign in every single time. Okay, so somewhere I need to persist this data permanently. Like I can't save this data in our local storage. So that's the reason you need to have your context provider. Okay, so every time when a browser refreshed, I need to check is there any authentication changes or not. If not, I need to collect that token and I need to send it to backend. I need to fetch the detail and I need to push it back to our context provider. Okay, it might be quite a long process, but it's simple. Just try to follow me here.